Dana Schwartz, and this is Rise or Die, the official companion podcast for Peacock's original series, Those About to Die. On this podcast, I go behind the scenes with the show's cast and creators to learn how they brought their brutal vision of Rome to life.
Gosh, people will freak out.
Rise or Die launches on July 18th. Watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
A bloodbath tonight in the rural town of Chinook.
Everyone here is hiding a secret.
4 more victims found scattered.
Some worse than others.
I came as fast as I could. I'm Deputy Ruth Vogel.
And soon, my quiet life will never be the same.
Realm presents a 30 Ninjas production, Chinook, starring Kelly Marie Tran and Sanaa Lathan. Listen to Chinook wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, everyone. Just a short announcement before we get into Dear Boy.
There's an Angel Holiday gift exchange.
Sign up to participate in the gift exchange is by December 1st. You'll find the Elfster post to join on our Patreon-only Facebook page. Thank you to Mary Pruder for setting that up for us.
Merry, as in Merry Christmas? Coincidence? I think not.
Perhaps your Elfster pal wants something from the Angel on Top store. One lucky person who orders anything at any amount from the Angel on Top store before December 6th will win a bonus prize of a Smash the Demon Lizard Patriarchy mug. You can find our 3 t-shirts and our Big Demon Energy pin at angelontop.merchnow.com. And as always, Patreon supporters at the $10 and up level receive a discount.
There are about 15 tickets left to Buffering's live taping of Fool for Love on December 6th at the Brava Theater Center in San Francisco. So snatch those up soon if you're planning on attending.
Welcome back to Angel on Top, a podcast where we watch and discuss every episode of Angel one by one, spoiler-free, and in tandem with Buffering the Vampire Slayer. I'm Laura Zach.
And I'm Brittany Ashley. And this week we're watching Dear Boy. Stick around until the end for an original poem written by us through the perspective of Angel, who, dear boy.
Sure has a perspective this go-round. Dear Boy was written and directed by David Greenwalt. It aired on October 24th, 2000.
This is the one where after spotting Darla walking around L.A., Angel becomes convinced that his sire is alive.
It's also the one where I became completely game for this show.
You weren't before?
Like, completely not. Like, where
it's
I
like
was
where
sort
it
of like,
turns into, like, I'm going to binge this.
I know, it's hilarious that it's, what, like 25 episodes deep into a podcast that I co-host. I'm like, all right, I think I'm going to re-up this subscription.
I mean, honestly, I think that's how a lot of people felt about Buffy. I mean, Buffy season 1 kind of feels like necessary viewing in a way, but I think like you really get in season 2.
You know, I don't at all say that in the sense of like implying that season 1 wasn't necessary. I think part of the payoff is that all of the kind of buildup of season 1 is now paying off.
Totally.
And coming together, and like now all of the supporting leads are really established and have their clear like dynamics and arcs, and then we get to like drop back into this storyline. I feel very excited to talk about this episode, but also like a little nervous because it feels like a big one. It feels like a lot of, I don't know, I just really want to do it right because this is one of my fave episodes so far.
This is for sure my favorite episode of Angel thus far that we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure, because it's like bringing together all the parts that I really enjoy about the show, which is the history and the lore of Angel and Angelus, his origins, the torture that comes along with his past or the past of someone who has done the same exact things as Angel, if not more.
And I think we also get an opportunity here to see his savior complex pushed to the extreme, where we've seen built up throughout the series his connection to, attachment to, especially women who are in the grips of some sort of like complex relationship with their own evil. And
sure, like with Faith.
Well, with Faith, but then even last episode,
yeah,
that impulse is going to be pushed to like its absolute extreme.
Yeah, there's just so many dynamics that are at play, and you see the fear from Cordelia and Wesley about how they're afraid that he can turn again. Gunn has just learned that Angel can turn evil again, and then we get Kate back into our world, unfortunately.
Hell yeah.
No.
I am here for Kate's return.
She is a pawn. She is truly a pawn. The funny thing about this episode's teaser is that it's basically like someone copy and pasted last week's teaser into this week's episode.
Yep. He's being an ornery man-child who hasn't had enough sleep.
Yeah. They've really laid the groundwork for Angel is sleepy and Angel is kind of delusional. And then Cordy and Wesley are fighting about money again. It's more this time about kind of like their security or like their roles within the company. Whenever they bicker, it serves as like an odd reminder that they used to be romantically involved. I like always forget about that conveniently.
Whoa, I actually forgot until you just reminded me.
Cordy gets a vision, and while they're trying to figure out who she has a vision of like these like robed disciples underground fighting. And while Cordelia and Wesley are trying to figure out who these people could possibly be, Angel is on the couch having some visions of his own.
He sure is. And it seems like the lines are blurred between dream and reality now. He is losing his grip on like keeping these worlds separate. We're finally going to reach his breaking point where he needs to share what's going on for him. Mm-hmm. And I think this is the first signal of that like there's this... He's not able to keep the worlds as separate as he may have been able to the last several episodes. I feel like we've been in this storyline for 84 years.
But honestly, I kind of like that. I don't enjoy when something, like if this would have gotten introduced at the end of the last episode and then it happened again, I probably would have torn it apart. But the fact that it's been such a huge part of Angel's world for the last like 5 episodes, and that it's affected his performance, it's affected the way that he treats his employees, it's kind of affected everything. It does show that Wolfram and Hart were kind of onto something. The disciples that were in Cordelia's vision, they kind of reminded me of what would happen if the frat guys from Reptile Boy were in their mid-20s and just like extremely bored still. There's this big fight that's going on that Angel ends up...
He's really fist happy. It seems like we see him taking out his mood on his employees, but he also... in this opportunity where he gets to actually take it out on a big bad, like he's going for it like in a way that even Gunn is like, all right, bro, like this is a little bit extra.
Right. And we saw obviously like a couple episodes ago when Gunn is using like unnecessary force to get information, and they all were like, hey, we don't do that. And now Angel's literally doing that, if not like pushing it way further than that. It kind of reminded me of, I can't remember which episode, but it was an episode where Faith and Buffy are taking on a team of vampires, and to the detriment of the group, Faith is just like completely wailing on this dude and letting Buffy get like further behind in her fight. And that's exactly what Angel is doing as well. So there was almost like a parallel to the way that Faith takes out her frustrations in fighting, and that it's not actually about doing good. It's kind of about just like taking out your anger, and that's what Angel's doing.
And Gunn ultimately is the one who kills the slime monster, which it seems to break the robed men out of a spell, and it's kind of hilarious. They're all kind of like filing out together. Like it reminded me of like after a sports I was going to say audition. After a sports practice, they're like, yeah, so hey, I know we were just fighting to the death back there, but do you want to like go get some beers? Yeah. It just seemed very chill, like people throwing their duffel bags over their shoulders at the end.
Or it's like after a giant orgy, then they all just kind of like file out.
I don't know what sort of orgies you've been to.
None, but that's just what I imagine. Because it's like you're all like in the zone, and then after everyone comes, then you just kind of like get up and like grab your socks.
And it's like a little leave. Awkward, and you're like
oh, you're going that way too? Okay.
You're trying to make small talk even though you now know like the depths of their kinks.
Yes. See, I think that was a fair analogy. And so then Angel decides to walk home through the most chaotic nighttime flea market with jugglers in the middle of the walkway, which really stressed me out. And then he spots
Dun, dun, dun.
who he believes is Darla. Actually, it's not who he believes is Darla. He 100% is certain it's Darla.
Yeah, I
it's
don't think
everyone
that-
else who is uncertain.
Yeah.
And it's even like, for a moment, did you think it might not be Darla?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because they've set that up. We've seen her in his sort of like day visions before.
So this episode kind of reminded me of, did you watch Jessica Jones? I forget.
The first season.
Yeah, there were like some Jessica Jones season 1 vibes there for me. Like there was like some mind game shit, like especially the dinner scene kind of reminded me of like the mind control dinner scene in season 1 as well.
Yeah, except the only one controlling his mind is Angel. You know, there's no actual control. It's just like an incredible long game emotional manipulation that relies on his entire history with this person.
And now we're in a jolly old flashback with Angelus.
And we get to hear Angelus say in an Irish accent, daughters.
Yeah.
Because they've honed in on a little family walking along, a trio, and one of the women seems a little restless and like she can sense that someone's watching her. She turns around, and who is it?
Drusilla, you fill my heart with dread, and still I'm led right back to you.
Drusilla.
Whoa, you are skipping past so much, my friend. Angelus ducks into a dark alley to meet up with his lover, Darla, who just killed a, quote, horrid little man named Lord Nichols, who was in this alleyway because he was propositioning a prostitute, but dickering over the price, quote. So Darla...
Dickering?
That's what he
Dickering.
said. But Darla didn't like that. He was trying to underpay a sex worker. So in that regard, I found that very admirable because she
But-
killed him. You know.
But
However, then Angelus asked, okay, why'd you kill the streetwalker? And she said, oh, I just liked her. So then that was like, there was like almost good. And that's kind of the thing about Darla. It's like there's almost good. And then she like takes it a step further. But then as we see later with Drusilla, Angelus is the one that takes it a step further.
she almost like performs a morality, and then she's like, just kidding. She's just a little scamp.
Darla in this series is kind of like a character study about how willing I am to completely forget about how absolutely horrible someone is. It's just if they're extremely hot. My eyes just completely passed over the 2 people that she killed. And I was like, God, but her voice is like honey.
That's how she literally gets you.
Yeah, it was really frightening. Like, is this the effect that she has on everyone?
That's, I think, why we started all of Buffy with her.
Right.
Like with that deception. I think that's very much part of her MO of how she lures and kills people.
It's kind of amazing when the audience can feel the same struggle that the main character is, because you get it even more. Because like I feel so drawn to helping this person, and I wouldn't even know if I was being manipulated or not, which obviously is a huge mark on my dating history, where I'm like, oh, you're just like damaged and I want to like help you, and I'm the exception maybe. Like
I see the potential there.
Yeah.
I see like this one arena of your inner world that like feels good.
Right.
So I'm going to act as if
I'm going to ignore all the horrible things
Mhm.
and just only act on this small sliver of hope.
This episode did a masterful job of telling a fairly accurate story of what it's like to bump into a certain type of ex, whose cord you did not cut.
No.
Who, maybe
Yeah, Angel needs to do the cord cutting.
he
thing.
most certainly does. And this, I did not realize how attached he still was until this episode. Like I definitely saw that, with the dreams that he was definitely indulging that. But yeah, it's such an interesting study of how much Angelus actually lives inside Angel and hasn't gone anywhere.
It even illustrates further how much of a battle it is for him to be Angel because of the fact that Angelus is still so present in him and because his past is still something that he can tap into readily.
And most people who draw out the Angelus side of him it's more black and white for him, that like this is a force of evil that I need to destroy. Whereas Darla represents the reason that he's fallen into these patterns. Like she is like the embodiment of like being complicit in making him this way. And now that she's mortal, there's just like so many layers.
There's so much.
But so in this flashback, the two of them see Drusilla and they talk about how she has future sight and can see all the things that he's going to do to her. And basically Darla and Angelus in this moment are giving off like very serious, like predatory poly vibes. Yeah. Like they're definitely like the swingers.
Looking for a unicorn.
It's like that Chris Fleming video about like the couples who like tell you that they're polyamorous in a kind of creepy way where they like expect you to be psyched. So they're definitely like at the party, kind of like identifying their target. And now their foreplay is going to be hunting her.
Drusilla, before he turned her, and again, to like remark on the arc that Angelus had in season 2 of Buffy, is the things that Darla and Angelus did to Drusilla to torture her before they killed her were the same things, like the same steps that he went through with Buffy to torture her, like to like killing people in her inner circle and just like absolutely terrifying them, which was like worse than just killing them. Like a lot of his patterns, like you said, were set in this episode, really.
Having Drusilla here further emphasizes the way that these characters have always been themselves, regardless of if they're pushing more chaotic evil as a vamp or like neutral good or whatever they were, or maybe chaotic good, like in Liam's case. But all of them have like contained their
Some
same
semblance,
selves.
yeah.
Because Drusilla too is
still fucking weird.
Oh yeah, she's still completely who she is, and that's part of what Angel or Angelus was drawn to. He's like, this is a lunatic, is how he says it. Like he finds there to be something in like her temperament that will be well suited.
But we're back at this mobile circus, and Angel is trying to track down this woman that he believes is Darla, and he loses her. But now he knows that something is fucking up.
Detective Angel.
He does. And if you thought he was in a bad mood before,
I love this scene.
Cordelia and the man who thinks his wife is being abducted.
Yeah, this man, he's been completely gaslit into believing that rather than his wife cheating on him, she is being abducted by aliens once to twice a week. And she disappears for a day or so. He found a receipt of a hotel that she was staying at. Cordelia is doing the best job that she possibly can in the wake of Angel not being there. But then Angel comes through and the guy is like, "Do you think my wife is cheating on me?" And he's like, "Yeah, probably."
I feel like these moments, whenever aliens come up in this show, I feel like it's a nod to X-Files, which obviously was the biggest hit on TV at the same time. Finally, in this scene, Angel comes clean with Cordelia and Wesley about the dreams. And at this point, it's like, okay, now I've seen her out and about. Like, this is real, and I need to share this with my team. So it's taken it from like this private torture to something that finally he has to come out about.
Yeah, but it also comes up because he is sniffing Cordelia's hair.
Oh, like right. There is a little bit of a Me Too moment.
HR, yeah. But there was also a really fun Cordelia line where Angel says, "I saw her," and Cordelia is like, like I love Buffy as much as everyone does, but like you can't keep seeing her. Like this is going to ruin you. And then she also says something along the lines of like, maybe it's guilt. Who loves guilt like you love guilt? But Cordelia and Wesley don't believe Angel. They don't actually believe that Darla could be back. And so in a way, it's like this show is gaslighting Angel. Like everyone around him is gaslighting him. And that's, I think that's part of the plan, really.
Yeah, I think he was made to be in this vulnerable state so that he's on many levels not going to seem like reliable. And then we get a scene where I'm like, do I ship it? Lindsay and Darla?
I get
okay,
that.
Step outside of your own desire for Darla. Step outside of the Angel Darla connection. If they were meeting, fresh right now, they're pretty much an ideal match.
Because
now that she's human.
Yeah, but Darla's evil is a bit more like, in a weird way, Darla's evil is a bit more like forgivable because she was a demon. But the fact that Lindsay is mortal and has a soul, it makes it less forgivable because he made choices.
But she has a soul now.
Right, but like it
TBD.
didn't kick in yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's
totally. No, I just think it's really funny. I was just curious about where you were gonna go with like why they aren't right for each other. And it's like
because she's right for me, Laura.
No, you were basically like, she is not really responsible for her actions. And like
you don't know her like I do.
Exactly.
The show is gaslighting me, Laura.
Basically, their plan is working. Like Angel's falling apart. And she's like, I created his strengths and weaknesses. So that's why I know how to like play him like a fiddle.
They believe that Darla and Angel will fuck, thus turning him into Angelus. Or that Darla can kind of like tempt him the old fashioned way into believing that this has always been inside of him. And wouldn't it just be easier to kind of like just give in to this battle that he goes through every day to be Angel? Like, why not just give in? And Darla is definitely flirting with Lindsay, and he's definitely flirting with her.
Oh, yeah. That fake hand stroking?
Yeah, you don't feel anything. Not in my hand.
Yeah, didn't love that line.
That's a fucking you from me, dog.
Yeah, that's going to be a nah. And Darla expresses that really what's eating at her the most is the missed opportunity of the fact that Angel, who she sees as Angelus, has all of this power that is being wasted on a do-gooder. Like it's being wasted in this soulful container. So it's really about like nostalgia for her. Really, it's about returning to her glory days. Yeah, I don't know. They had like in an evil way a cute little dynamic.
To be continued.
And then Kate is back.
Fuck Kate, man. Did this episode make you see what I see?
Do you see what I see? Oh, Christmas is coming, kids.
Are you excited for Christmas Village?
So excited. It's going to go up in 3 weeks, right after Thanksgiving. That puppy's going to go up.
I fully planned on putting my Christmas tree up yesterday, but then, as you remember, I was extremely hungover. Like, to the point where I think that 3 to 6 months of my life have maybe been erased from my brain.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Hopefully it was some bad months.
Yeah. I'm assuming it was like everything I learned in like a college course. Just like was taken out of it was like someone clicked into the hard drive of my brain and went click, click, deleted.
Drag to trash can.
I hope it was medieval literature.
Yeah. Okay. So yes and no to answer your question. Yeah, I absolutely see why she's like see her as an antagonist now because we're supposed to. She's written that way. I don't think Kate was ever written well, first of all. Like I think she had like a pretty inconsistent arc from the beginning, and there was a lot of twists and turns that didn't necessarily track in a satisfying way for her. So I definitely think they're like, okay, now she's gonna just fully hate Angel. Like they're just leaning into that without like more complexity that I think their history deserves.
She's her father's daughter.
But at the same time, I love that now that she doesn't give a fuck about Angel, she's like really leaned into some big dyke energy.
And she's putting a lot more product in her hair.
Yeah, she has very like Justin Timberlake, NSYNC, like ramen hair vibes. Where it's those like crisp, tight blonde curls, like almost an unnatural bright yellow, but like she rocks it. She just
like, I don't dry my hair anymore, okay? I put a glob of mousse in as soon as I get out of the shower. I just go do one of these. And then I fucking leave for my desk job. Where
I want my hair to convey what my heart is. Hardened. Don't fuck with me. But also, you know how I love Unbelievable, the show on Netflix.
Yes.
And I felt like she was giving me Merritt and Tony vibes in this new self she stepped into. And I actually think she is justified in how she feels about Angel. Like, because of the death of her father and because of the point she makes at the end that even if it's actually about a more personal thing for her, it is true that like the death of innocence like follows where Angel goes, even though we as like insiders understand that he's trying to prevent that. Like, from an outside perspective, if you were someone whose like job was to like keep the peace and you see this person as someone who like chaos surrounds and like people die all around him, you can see how she allowed herself to like go down that path of thinking. And especially this episode where, as we'll see, he is kind of tempted back to the dark side a little bit. Like, she's kind of more right than ever in this episode.
don't know. I think that she fails to recognize that more people would be dead. Like, the whole city of Los Angeles would have probably fucking died in that episode that Doyle died. You know what I mean? Like, if Angel didn't exist. I think that she fails to recognize how she and Angel are on the right side, and that she is acting not to have this be taken the wrong way, but I think that her feelings about the fact that her dad was killed by a vampire, and because Angel's a vampire, it is affecting the way that she does her job. She is like...
So you're saying it's a classic transference.
Extremely.
Yeah.
And she's a cop. Like, she should be able to like use her deductive reasoning for figuring out when the individual is bad or not. And I think that...
Well, that's giving a lot of credit to cops of not being exactly this way.
That is your job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But she is just seeing him the way that she sees all vampires. And she is like fully getting in the way. And she knows Angel. Like, she really does know Angel, and he has given her every reason to believe that he is doing good. Like, it's frustrating because she represents what is getting in the way. Like, she is truly the system that is getting in the way of Angel doing his job correctly.
Yeah, no, she's a complicated figure, but I will just say I love this BDE she's bringing, is all I'm saying. Like, because now that she's not at all trying to like please anyone in the Angel Investigations world, she just doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, but I want my cops to give a fuck.
Of course. Oh my God. So there's this scene where completely unnecessarily Cordelia's in like an Oktoberfest really revealing yellow outfit.
Yeah, it's like I don't know what type of like maid uniform that is, or cocktail waitress during the day, but she's at this hotel staking out the supposed
woman who's being abducted, where instead she's just having a really gross exchange with this guy where they're like using like, metaphors of alien abduction and probes for sex.
Yeah, Wes and Cordelia have gone through all the trouble to set up this like elaborate sting, but Angel doesn't have time for this. He's like, just go fucking tell your husband, work it out or leave. I don't give a shit. I have better things to do, which is track down my old sire, who I know is alive.
And who actually happens to be having lunch in this very hotel. What are the odds?
What are the odds? I'm going to refer to her, when she goes by Dieta, I'm going to refer to her as Dieta.
That's respectful of you.
Yeah. So it's what she identifies in the moment. And Angel grabs Dieta and is like, I know who the fuck you are. And everyone is like, okay, bro, you are being extremely aggressive. This is insane. She reveals that she is Dieta Kramer. She has no idea who Darla is. And he's like, well, I know that you're not going to fucking go in that sunlight because you're a vampire. And lo and behold, she runs to
David, her husband.
I thought his name was Steve.
Ooh.
Hard to say.
It was sure one of them.
Yeah. Or maybe it was Steve.
It was David.
Wait. I took your side, but she runs into the sunlight.
And into his arms.
Yeah. And so Cordelia and Wesley are like, oh my God, our boss has gone nuts because this is a human. And also, wouldn't they know what Darla looks like? Like, wouldn't Cordelia know? Because of like back in Sunnydale season 1, wouldn't she have maybe like seen?
I couldn't remember if they'd ever seen each other.
Well, Darla as the person, like Darla physically, I don't think so. But I feel like Cordelia and Wesley, given all of his knowledge, they would have seen a photo of Darla before.
I don't know. It kind of made it seem at the end of this episode that it was the first time they were seeing that daguerreotype.
Who's to say? Who's to say?
And then there's a kind of gross moment where Wesley doesn't believe him, and then Angel's like, "Oh yeah, you had sex with a bleach blonde last night."
And you know what I thought?
What?
Like, because Wesley and Kate had some like...
They did not have sex.
I feel like they could work. Yeah, but Cordy and Wes are rightfully very bummed with Angel. One, because he humiliated them and ruined their case. But two, that this is really starting to like affect them as a team because their leader is what they believe is kind of like going insane. But Angel has a plan. He's going to go see Lorne and he's singing "Everybody Have Fun Tonight." But he's so like distracted.
Like even the demons are like rolling their eyes.
Yeah.
And like, eesh.
But it's some of my favorite David Boreanaz's acting.
Because his bad karaokeing.
Yeah, like someone acting as a bad singer is very fun to me.
You want to know what's an interesting coincidence? That Wang Chung, who sings this song, that band, they did a song for the movie To Live and Die in L.A., which To Shan Shu in L.A. was a play off of. So, like,
how did you know this little fun fact?
You're like, where do you get your fun facts, madam?
Hey,
pardon me.
Louise?
That was not in the fun fact store that I was in yesterday. Well, I looked up the song. And then, because I was like, what the fuck is Wang Chung? That sounds racist. And they're a white London group.
Yeah.
And then I saw, I was just looking up what else the band had done. And they did the To Live and Die in LA song.
Wow. So this was a fun fact created by you, really.
Honestly, I just stumbled upon it. It was like, hey, girl, I'm fun. I'm a fact. And then immediately is like, tell me about Darla. He's there with a purpose.
I love Lorne in this scene. Lorne is like, slow down. You are headed straight into trouble. And like the cool thing about Lorne's powers in a way is something that I wish that my therapist possessed. Like being like, you are on the right path. Don't do anything unnatural that is going to like deter you off of that, because his path is to eventually be able to be human again. And so that is his path. And Lorne is explicitly telling him like, you are venturing far off of it. You cannot keep doing this. Like the way that you feel right now, get rid of it. This is something that is tempting you off of it. Stay on it.
And it's interesting that he refers to Angel as a good boy.
Yeah, he totally tops him.
Oh, yeah. And it's echoes of the theme of the Dear Boy episode of like how Darla handles Angel.
The way that Laura was saying the title in like the first intro that we recorded, she was saying Dear Boy as if like Angel was an animal, the deer. Dear Boy.
Get that deer boy over here.
Get that goddamn deer boy over here.
Listen, I've got Christmas on the mind. Yeah. Have you? Oh, I know you've seen it because you tweeted it. So that
flirty dancing.
That ad. Okay, for those of you who have not seen this, immediately look it up. There is a new show coming out apparently on Fox. It's a reality show where the premise is complete strangers are set up for their first date, and their first interaction with each other is through a choreographed dance where like they've both learned one half of this like very intimate dance that they do, and that's how they first meet. And the video that they learn
it separately, and then their performance is together for the first time.
Yeah, and the two gay men who that video has been going around, it's just like so incredible. And anyway, the reason
it's so amazing that they're both professional dancers.
Yeah, I know. It's convenient that like...
I wouldn't have made it past day one of this show. They would have been like, yeah, no, that person's never going to want to fuck you.
But don't you feel like this is the type of competition that Lauren would hold in his bar?
100%. Flirty dancing is tearing my Twitter feed apart. Some people hate it, and some people love it.
I love it.
I love it.
I'm sorry. Like, I guess I'm just cheesy and earnest enough that like, I just don't want Twitter to tell me anything that's going to make me like cynical about it.
Yeah, I'm a glutton for a beautiful contemporary dance routine.
Like Lauren would literally make people dance upon meeting, and then he'd tell
That's how
them
you see their soul.
Yeah, and then he'd tell them if they were a good match. I want to see that show.
Hi, I'm Dana Schwartz, and this is Rise or Die, the official companion podcast for Peacock's original series, Those About to Die. On this podcast, I go behind the scenes with the show's cast and creators to learn how they brought their brutal vision of Rome to life. I talked to acclaimed director and executive producer Roland Emmerich.
When I saw the first race, I was like giddy.
Actor Ewan Ryan.
For an actor, that's a dream, although you do get a lot of sand in your sandals.
And so many more.
You helped summon those ghosts back onto that stage.
Every day when I went to set, I was giggling about what I saw.
I think it's going to be a breathtaking thing.
Gosh, people will freak out.
Rise or Die launches on July 18th. Watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone. So we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural then and now.
So Angel calls Cordelia, and Cordelia's like, oh, thank God we found you. And he's like, give me the address of Dieta Kramer. And Cordy and Wes are like, oh, God.
And of course, it's in Studio City, the Valley, where it just makes sense that would be like somewhere that a fake couple would live.
Totally, yeah. And Wesley and Cordelia are rightfully both like, we don't think that you should do this. We need our boss baby back.
It's our boss baby.
It's almost like trying to tell your friend to not pursue someone that is horrible for them, and they just don't listen, and you know that they're not gonna listen.
They gotta figure it out on their own.
Absolutely.
What you are going to do is already contained in where you're going with this, which is consistent with this kind of theme of like seeing the future in this episode and things being like destined. It feels like Angel is on an unstoppable, like going in an unstoppable direction right now.
And after he gets off the phone with Cordy and Wesley, they are coming up with a contingency plan. And they're like, all right, we will shoot Angel with a tranquilizer if need be, because they've already seen him. I mean, Cordelia obviously saw him before, but like even just last season, they saw Angelus go bad again. So they're prepared to do it. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're under the presumption that he and Darla, if they had sex, that he would turn bad again, correct? Like this is all like,
so. I think
please
everyone
do not fuck this person.
I think everyone shares this assumption, except for Angel,
right?
But that's confusing because they don't believe that it's her yet, or that all that matters is that he thinks it's her. Because again, the way he sort of turned into Angelus last time was with the actor when she gave him. When she basically drugged him. So like his brain it was like an opiate. Like his brain believed he was happy. So they've already seen kind of like cheats for him to turn into Angelus. So it seems like this is threatening enough. And especially given that they know that he's been dreaming about her nonstop.
Right. So then we see Angel outside of Dieta's home. And on the inside we see, actor Steven. I have it written down. His name is Steven.
Is that the actor's name or the character's name?
I think they just used his name. Is he Steven and David?
Maybe the actor's name is Steven, the character's name is David.
Who the fuck knows?
Who
cares?
Yeah.
But he is an actor who just really wants notes from his scene partner, and he is pretending to be Darla's, and now I'm going to call her Darla. He's pretending to be Darla's husband, And he says something. He's like, when I was at the actor's studio, we always had to find truth in the moment. So like, would I have
pulled your chair out
for you? Like, wow, this pasta smells like truth. Like he is really, it was such a fun detail that we're in Los Angeles where there's all these actors who are like this. Like these.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Who just want to like pick apart what a scene would be rather than just
about
being
the craft.
Yes. It was extremely fun. But Darla knows that Angel is going to be watching. And so her job is to just get Steve to shut the fuck up.
And she's like, if you don't shut up, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah. It was amazing.
There's our girl.
Yeah. I feel like this is something that they probably should have told Gunn earlier. Like, hey, yeah, your boss, he could like turn into the biggest supervillain possible just like within a few minutes. Like,
but anyway, glad to have you on the team.
But now we are back in a flashback that answers Gunn's question of like, just
how bad can you get?
Yeah, totally.
And Drusilla's like, snake in the woodshed.
Yeah.
Snake in the woodshed.
She has truly always been this person. And Darla and Angelus definitely find like a shared pleasure.
Yeah, and they're talking about, do we want to kill her during sex or after? We've already killed her whole family, so what next? And this is where Angelus reveals that he'd rather turn her.
Yeah, so their plan was always to kill her. When Angel is like, it would be even crazier if we turned her. That would torture her even more. And we see in Darla's eyes, even as a vampire, she's like, this dude is kind of taking it a little too far for me. Like, here was my line, and Angelus, this guy that I turned, this guy who I taught to be evil, is even like trying to out evil me. It's like learning that you're not the most damaged one in the relationship, and you're like, wait a minute. I thought I knew my role in this relationship. Now this is kind of terrifying for me.
Well, or a combination of that and being a proud mother who's like, you want your child to exceed what you were capable of.
Sure.
And so she's a little bit like, it's not just like
it's like
trepidation.
It's like a stage mom when like your little like child becomes even like cattier than you, or like you watch them like bark at the stage manager or something, and you're like, whoa, I'm terrified by you, but also kind of proud because I taught you this.
Right.
I'm a stage mom. So now we're back in the fake home, and Darla is a great actor. You would assume that Darla, in her years in Los Angeles, maybe took an acting class or two, because she is faking a 911 call. She's screaming at the top of her lungs, knowing that Angel is going to bust in and there's going to be Steven dead. It's looking like a setup so that when the cops come, it looks like Angel did it. Kind of exactly what she did in Buffy, where she bit Joyce. And Angel was the one that like was holding Joyce when Buffy walked in. Like, she's really good at this staging thing.
And I think that's part of the reason they're in Studio City is probably because that's Kate's new beat.
Totally.
Because she, I feel like, has been part of the plan from the beginning.
Also, Kate, I think you're a little out of your jurisdiction. Isn't she like in the downtown district?
But no. But the first scene we see with Kate, they established that she got moved out of DTLA.
That's right.
So I think that Darla and Lindsay chose
targeted
her new neighborhood.
Wow. Ooh, that's a bummer.
Yeah. And Angel knows right away that he's been set up. And
absolutely.
It's like, you'll pay for this. And then leaps up into an attic door.
Oh my God. I love the acrobatics of Angel in this episode. Like when he like slinks down from the tree.
grabs
fucking hilarious. Truly hilarious. Yeah, Kate, who went a little too crazy on the moose, is comforting Darla, which is really hilarious because if only she knew the truth.
Exactly. The idea of Kate trying to cover for the fact that Angel is a vampire to Darla.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many layers to this scene. But Darla frames it to Kate like she's been stalked by this person. And she's like, yeah, and like, I don't know, his name was like Angel or something. And I just, this sounds a little weird, but like his forehead got kind of like crinkly.
Yeah. And
like
Kate
Oscar worthy.
Kate is like getting off on this.
Yeah,
she's like,
"Oh, I know the one."
Yeah. Oh, I know. You've come to the right person.
She's like, I believe you.
And Angel, lo and behold, has been just like hanging on a tree like a goddamn primate, just waiting to scoop up Darla all in one foul swoop. That was hilarious to me. I also feel like maybe there was like some like kooky sound effects that happened, like ugh. But then Kate barges in.
Oh, wow. You had to change your tone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will admit this scene, she's not great. She's definitely not a big fan of the profiling she immediately does of Gunn. She comes in guns blazing, pretty much. A little bit too hot. Need her to take it down a level.
Yeah, she is a bleach blonde dumpster.
Disagree again for the bigger picture, but in this scene, mistakes are being made.
Many. But then we cut to an establishing shot of where Angel is dragging Darla, and it looks like the fucking moon.
But it's somehow a former convent.
Right. It's the water plant.
Hard
convent.
to picture. Hard to picture. Yeah,
They just go so hand in hand.
That's not a mashup that you expect to see off it.
It kind of looks like the LACMA Urban Lights installation.
And can I just say that this scene is an excellent scene of television.
It's absolutely incredible.
We've got a bunch of beat changes.
Yeah, the switching of power dynamics and who you are empathizing with changes pretty constantly. But this is where Angel has now put together that the box from the end of the season 1 finale that Wolfram and Hart was summoning, Darla was in that box. And even in the beginning of this scene, Darla is still pretending to be Dieta. And Angel is like, no, I do not believe you.
We're done with that part of this game.
Yeah, please leave this character at the door because now we're having a real conversation.
I like the idea that she's just like really kind of immersed herself in the motivations of Dieta and she just doesn't want to let her go. Yeah. She's kind of grown attached. She's like, my husband just died. I'm traumatized. I'm kind of into it.
Incredible character work for sure. But Angel knows that she's lying and is actually kind of finding it funny for a few beats. But then Angel turns on his vamp face and he very aggressively shoves her against a beam and like honestly
and says, I need to talk to the real you.
Yeah. And at this point it is like, thank God it's Darla. Because if this was Dieta, he would be maybe imprisoned.
She's just got him right where she wants him, basically. Like he's using the tactics that she wants of him to get the response that like to get her to turn into Darla. But the thing is, he is into it.
He is, which we see he goes for her neck. And
he gets a little taste.
Yeah, he gets a little TT. Yeah, it like nervous panting turns into like sexy panting. And then when she like turns from like...
There's my boy. And then they start making out. And it's not, honestly, it's not one of those like quick make out and then push away. No, I can't. It's we are in this. We are going to break away to another scene. Then we're going to cut back and we're still going to be making out, which implies it's been happening for a minute.
Yeah, but let's go back to that other scene for reasons. There is a sweet moment where Cordelia is sticking up for Gunn and is saying he helps people. His past shouldn't matter. And Kate is like, yeah, some of these things happened in the last few weeks. And Cordelia's like, oh,
damn it.
Yeah.
Both Gunn and Angel use similar tactics, but like Kate is more aggressive with like going after Gunn. Well, now she's finally getting to a point where she's that way too with Angel, which I think is how she's justifying this treatment to herself. But we can see from an outside perspective of having known Kate and how she's dealt with this group that this is unusual.
Despite the fact that Kate is being a total stain, Gunn is the one who ends up solving the case. Because he says, okay, if Angel was able to go into the house, clearly the owner is dead. So let's figure that out. And then Wesley just so happened to have dog-eared a picture of Darla and was like, oh, here we are. Does this look familiar? It's Dieta Kramer, a.k.a. Darla.
They're all basically like, all right, B, maybe you should take a breath and just think about the facts in front of you.
What they call it in the police world is a big oopsie. Angel and Darla still heavily making out, lots of breathing out of the nose.
And wow, if this doesn't capture a very specific dysfunctional type of reconnection with a toxic person that you have an erotic connection with.
Yeah, and you know the thing that I was actually expecting more of? I think I was expecting Angel to be a bit more broody or like emotional about this reunion. It's able to show us the distinction between when Buffy comes back and when Darla comes back, like how different of those connections they were to him.
Well, and I think that he's acting more like Angelus in the way he responds to her, whereas he would act more like Angel with Buffy. Like he's reverting back to what this person brings out in him, like the pattern, slipping right back into their dynamic. And this is the most Angelus, I think, we've seen Angel act, like while knowing that he's not in the process of turning, he's not acting. Like this is just showing us how much Angelus really lives inside him, and Darla knows that and is drawing it out.
Yeah, it's like when I see Friends from College and Blackout Bash comes out and she is like, let's do shot skis. It's like a few people from the UIC softball team that can bring it out of her, but she's always living.
Why are you talking about yourself in the third person?
I'm talking about my version of Angelus.
Britellus.
But certain people, I think, can bring out a darker side of your past that you generally
it's muscle memory.
It really is. I see Rumpelmans and I'm like, oh no.
What the fuck is Rumpelmans?
What the fuck is Rumpelmans?
Truly, what the fuck is Rumpelmans?
It is an absolutely grotesque liqueur. Used to do a bunch of shots of.
You used to go hard on the rump?
I went hard on a lot of different things. I used to bring chocolate syrup to bars.
Oh,
so that we could do shots. Yeah, drinking was like the thing. That was my Angelus dark years.
But chocolate syrup is how you made it happen?
Yeah, because it would be like
you're like a little baby.
No, it's like you're
go hard with some chocolate syrup. Wow.
I think that what I meant to portray in the chocolate syrup thing is just how committed I was to drinking. But the thing that you took away from it was so much better that I'm not even going to try and continue to explain.
Oh, wow. So
my favorite piece of this conversation is how Angel is trying to tell Darla, oh, fuck, you have a soul. Wait for it, because you're about to feel an exorbitant amount of guilt.
Which as a viewer makes me very excited to hopefully that is foretelling what is to come. And I can't wait to watch Darla and watch Julie Benz grapple with that arc for her. Yeah, a shift for him in this power play is at first it's like, okay, well, Darla actually likes it when he hurts her. So how can he win in this scenario if she enjoys physical pain? And then he realizes that part of Wolfram and Hart's plan, and by extension Darla's plan, is the hope that being back together will make him happy and therefore turn him. And once he makes that realization, it's like, oh, you are mistaken.
Yeah, she's like, hey, big guy, let's fuck. And he's like, you think that you make me happy?
Oof.
Yikes.
Ouchie, ouchie, ouch.
Yikes on bikes.
But she is truly hurt. And I think this is the first little glimmer we get that her soul's turning on is that her feeling got hurt.
Yeah, because again, he was like, even though we were together for 150 years,
even though you made me, even though we did so many blood orgies.
Yeah, that was nothing compared to the, 2.5 years I was with Buffy. That was even more.
You couldn't understand what I had.
Yeah, but to her, that was her major love.
Yeah, clearly this is the love of her life. You can see on his face when she's like, I know my boy's in there and he wants out. There is part of that that's true.
I mean, I think that obviously because he's ensouled now, I think the Darla that exists right now is something that he wants to put in his past in like an emotional regard. But I think the Darla with the soul could be something else.
Could be quite a temptation.
Flirting, understanding, consent, and kissing. Flirting, understanding, consent, and kissing. Fuck watch.
You're going to be disappointed in me.
Because you're picking Darla right now?
No.
Because you're picking Steve.
I still think it's David.
Is it?
We're gonna have to listen back.
It's Steven.
Okay, no. It's with the exception of of
Kate.
the bad scene.
Come on.
With the exception of the profiling scene. So we're gonna say pre-busting in on Angel Investigations Kate. So basically, like, Kate at...
You can't pick and choose what parts of Kate. You did this last time.
We pick and choose all the time. Okay, don't start making that an arbitrary rule, because I will pull rank if that's how we're gonna play this. I'm talking Kate at the crime scene before she gets profiling. Kate, when she is in her full butch stance, does not GAF anymore about Angel, and it's just like, I'm gonna take care of you, Dieta. I'll make him pay for this.
And even with her Garnier Fructis curl enhanced hair.
I think what I'm really getting at is I wish I could make my pick Merritt Weaver from Unbelievable.
I understand.
That's who I actually want to be with. Like, and so I'm just trying to find my way to that. And I felt like it's kind of like when she gave me Dana Scully vibes, I kind of had to go that route.
So it's never actually about Kate. It's just about who she represents to someone who is better to you.
Yeah, that could be true. I think it's the archetype of what I want more so than the individual.
See, this is a pattern with you. You kind of seek out dynamics when it might not be about the person.
I agree, but I think it's enough that I'm working on that in my real life. And I think in the safety of Fuckwatch, it should be okay to slip back into some patterns.
Understood.
Also, I don't think you want to set up observing people's patterns when I know at some point this season, if not today, you're about to pick Darla, who could not be more dysfunctional and a bad choice for you.
Okay, well, it's not Darla.
Okay, go on. Who is it?
Thank you. So my pick is a little...
It can't be Dieta either.
It's not. It's not. I thought about it, but it's not. My pick is a little unconventional. Some may say not allowed. However,
okay, here we go.
The person that I chose played a very major role in why I love this episode so much, but isn't present in the physical sense.
Is it technically there? Okay, who?
While David Greenwalt is the credited writer of this episode, the significant scenes between Angel and Darla were actually written by Marty Noxon.
Okay,
And
that's allowed. I've picked a writer before.
You can tell. Like, their scenes are written so well. You pick them out immediately. Mm-hmm. They are so familiar with each other. It's very playful, but still very emotionally charged. Again, like, the power keeps swapping. And it's also kind of petty in a fun Buffy speak kind of way.
I like it. I'm pro. I ship it. I ship you and Marty.
Okay, cool.
Both romantically and for you to get a job.
Cool.
Flirting, understanding, consent, and kissing. Flirting, understanding, consent, and kissing. Fuckwatch.
So doing the math here. Okay, so the amount of time that Darla and Angel were together is 150 years. And the amount of time that Angel was with Buffy was, like 2.5, let's say 2. How about that? So he was with Buffy for 1/75 of the time that he was with Darla.
I think that proves that love at first sight is a thing. Because juxtaposed against each other, that's like a blip. That's like an ant's lifespan.
We can never fully get a handle on when Darla is playing the game and trying to manipulate Angel and when she is actually hurt.
I don't think she's even aware of that happening, but Angel sees it coming. And there's this shift for Angel where at the beginning of the scene, I don't know if I believed at all that he ever actually was intending to kill her. I think the closest he got to that was at the top of the scene, but I still think he was posturing when he was like, "You think I won't kill you when you're a human?" And I was like, "Yeah, you won't. You probably won't."
Yeah, I don't think you will, dude.
But then by the end, he's changed his tune, even though they definitely had like an antagonistic, charged, erotic scene between them where clearly her intention is to take him down and to make him jealous again. He's changed his tune to be more like, I'm giving you a second chance. If you hurt anyone else, then I'll kill you. Because I think now he sees that humanity in this scene, even though it is like leveraged against him.
Well, he's also somewhat educating her in the moment too. He's like, the reason that I was able to feel for Buffy in a way that I wasn't able to feel for you is because I got the soul, because I was able to feel the good and the bad. That's just a part of being alive, and you're able to like feel the good in a much more real way. And the good that I had with you wasn't real because there was no bad.
I think if Darla was really listening here, she would realize that if she leaned into the power of vulnerability and she leaned in and actually decided to like accept her soulful status and try to seduce Angel from a totally new angle of like Angel from an angle of I have a soul too now, and now let's do this for real. That's what would fuck him over. That's what would make him turn. So she just needs a little pivot.
She needs to watch the Brene Brown TED Talk. She needs to read Daring Greatly.
I don't know if she needs to watch the Netflix special. That just felt a little bit too corporate. But the other ones.
It really did. It felt like something that you show at like a Google seminar.
But Brene's early stuff. Get into it, Darla.
Yeah.
And then love the scene of Cordelia, low-key, not so low-key, telling off Kate, just kind of being like, we didn't just cooperate. We did your job. We solved the case for you.
Yeah,
Bish.
Cordelia topping Kate is...
And this is when Kate establishes, like, you don't get it, do you? I'm here to protect the innocent and all the innocent people. And I realize now I'm, like, putting her in a bad light. And it's like, I feel like I've done my defending of her and I can acknowledge where she's wrong. But yeah, she's posturing that it's about the innocent when really this is about a personal vendetta.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. She's like, this is about my dad because I am the father of a daughter. Oh, wait, I am the daughter of my father. And this is about my dad. Do you have a dad? Because I'm a daughter.
And Angel and Darla are still holed up. It's now daylight. It's one of those fights, you know? It goes from night to day.
Oh, I am familiar. Haven't had one of those in a very long time. But I'm
so happy for you about that. The scene where he takes her by the throat. She presses across against his chest.
It was like 69ing.
And then says, you see, no matter how good you are, God still doesn't want you.
Run, 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 run.
Symbolism of going into the sunlight.
But I still do.
Oh my gosh. Marty, come on.
And not only that, okay, also the symbolism. Right before that, she was talking about how Angel still has a darkness in him. And it was something that he had even before she turned
She
him.
didn't give that to him. She saw that in him, which is why she was attracted to him in the first place before he was even a vampire.
And so then obviously her leaving him in darkness is, you know, was a cool image, but also it tells us as the audience just how much Angel has grown as a character, but two, how he's like one action away from being like a supervillain of Los Angeles.
Like if he this is the first time I've ever thought it was possible that Angel could just turn into Angelus without some, like that would be an interior impetus for him to turn without needing to like have happiness or sex. Like it almost feels like he could turn with the force of his own will at this point.
Right, because it's like the thing that is most natural to him and the thing that he is constantly fighting against.
Yeah, that she has arrived. He is an addict and she has arrived with like the ultimate temptation of relapse for him. It's sort of like how some people talk about how the closer you get to your goals and what you want, the larger the obstacles that try to knock you off your path. And it feels like, especially the end of the first season, Angel finding out that if he fights the good fight and he makes it through all the wars and all the things he has to weather, he will get to be a human. It's like this is the first time that a major force in opposition to that goal is getting in his way. And I think that's what Lauren meant by this is off your path. And now when he goes back to talk to Cordelia and Wes, you know, they come to him at his house and they're brandishing like a tranquilizer and like ready to take him down if need be. You know, these are some serious forces against you and there's going to be trouble. And he's just kind of in his Angel Angelus hybrid and is like, bring it on, basically.
You know, after Darla tells him about his inherent darkness and there's like a horror sting and then you zoom in on Angel's twitching eye, I think we start to believe that maybe Angel isn't as good of a boy as we thought he was.
And honestly, I'm into that. Thank you for listening to this episode of Angel on Top. I'm Laura Zach, and you can find me at LaWa, LA_WA on Twitter, or at Laura Zach on Instagram, or find out more about my work at laurazach.com.
And I'm Brittany Ashley, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Brit27Ash.
You can also follow Angel on Top on Instagram and Twitter at AngelOnTopCast, and you can email us anything your heart desires at angelontoppodcast, all one word, at gmail.com.
Within reason. And now, please enjoy the poem for Dear Boy. Dear Boy, now I'm doing it. For Dear Boy, from Angel's point of view.
Dear Boy. Liminal space between waking and dreams brings rage. I punch evil till it's extra dead. Someone must pay for this maelstrom inside me. Then I see her, the lady in red. As foreplay, we hunted a girl who sees future. Could she see this return from the dust? And me haunted still by the one who best knows me. Dr. Freud, is this guilt or bloodlust? No paycheck's worth toiling in mortals' petty affairs. Sorry, Cordy, but it's a waste of my time. But then, again, she's there performing her new role as blameless, sprung from my clutches into the sunshine. My colleagues made doubtful by all the unknowns, but there's no mistaking my sire's pheromones. From nighttime passions, Darla was flung, but how? I'll get answers by singing Wang Chung. My karaoke game's off, but I need guidance from Lorne, who says the path I'm on leads nowhere pretty. He tells me, let go, but how do you release she who made you off to Studio City? Who screamed loudest, Drusilla, when at last the snake bit her, or your fake husband in his final performance? I bust in too late, or just in time for the frame job. You'll pay for this. Here's Kate with reinforcements. A former convent for face-off is rather poetic. You expect to be spared human, must think I'm pathetic. I need to talk to the real you is my excuse to feast, but just one taste of you, and you unleash my beast. Mouth as familiar as my own, I'm your boy, you're not wrong. How do I hurt someone who enjoys pain? But your new soul makes you softer, even if you don't yet know it. You never made me happy with dark pleasure, I explain. I let her go this time, with more violence promised. Tranquilizers temper my homecoming. Cordy and Wes fear I've turned, but the reality's worse. I've never changed, and trouble is coming.
Talmor, Sheshin Murachi. Talmor is my home. My family have worked the land for generations. My gran says the island does not belong to us, but we belong to the island. And we must be ready, for a great evil is coming, and death follows with it.
Listen and subscribe to the latest season of Undertow, The Harrowing, a Storyglass production presented by Realm, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Nowadays, trends and news cycles change faster than we can blink. But there are some things that withstand the test of time. And if you're looking for a connection to something timeless, and maybe also a glimpse of life at a slower pace, I believe everyone can relate to the very human experiences explored in Jane Austen's novels. And that's where I come in. My name is Alison Larkin. I'm a writer, comedian, and narrator and host of the Jane Austen podcast with Alison Larkin. I spent a lot of my childhood in the part of England where Jane Austen lived and wrote, and now that I live in the States, nothing gives me a sense of homecoming quite like narrating her books. On this show, you'll listen to award-winning narration. I'll give myself a pat on the back for that. As well as conversations with actors, writers, and other fascinating people who all share a passionate love for Jane Austen. So please, join me as we embark on a wonderful journey through Jane Austen's work. Be sure to listen and subscribe to The Jane Austen Podcast with Alison Larkin, wherever you get your podcasts.